She looks important.
Oh, yeah, she's an insurance agent. She chooses Nationwide to help protect all the families, businesses, and dreams in Peytonville.
Looks like she's kind of famous.
I've got her autograph at home.
That must be tiny.
It is. You can barely read it.
3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? It's that time of evening again where Ash reads to you a bedtime story. I hope everyone's having a good evening. And, they're toughing it out through this worldwide event. That's crazy, man. Where's that old saying that the Japanese have? Oh, I gotta turn my iPad down so I don't just talk over myself. That's how long the delay is, by the way. If you heard that, so what's that saying the Japanese have? We live in interesting times. Pretty crazy. So I hope you guys are all having a good evening. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. We got Tehillim. Skip is here. We got Dave Asanowicz. Ed Brewer. We got K. Agent K. Special K. I'm not sure, but we just call him K. If you're not sure who we're referring to, that's the gentleman with the... I'm assuming it's a gentleman. I don't like to assume gender, but sometimes you have to. That's the gentleman with the Arabic writing name. Lost in Comics is here. So I was wondering when the next one was. Awesome. Hey, man, thanks. That makes me feel good. Let's see. Who else? Dane Barrett is here. Ed Brewer. You know how you can tell... Oh, Maverick. Didn't mean to skip you, Maverick. You're way at the top. I had to scroll up to see you. You can tell Ed's a good guy because he's a Pink Floyd fan. Anyone who likes Pink Floyd is a friend of mine. Let's see here. Skip says 3, 2, 1. I'm Ash, and you've just been burned. What? I don't know, man. Glad you're doing better, buddy. I've done much physical therapy. Yeah, okay. So someone's talking about some physical therapy. Whoever wasn't, I don't know whoever's in physical therapy, I hope you're getting better. Let's see. The happy one arrives. Sometimes I can't follow the chat. And this is kind of a life or a little lesson for me too, because as a person who watches other people's videos, sometimes I'm watching the chat and I'm seeing things go on and I see them address the chat and then they totally misinterpret what's being said. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? How can you not understand what's being said? And I'm like, when you sit in this chair, you kind of, you go, oh, that's why, because you can only pay attention to so much of it. Skip says you're welcome. I don't know what for. I don't know what you were saying. So you can see on the screen here on the little thumbnail window, we got a picture of X-Men 281. This is a theme that we've been doing over the past couple episodes of me reading comics. It's a two-part video, two-comic video in 3 parts. The first part is this witty live radio banter you get from me, Ash. I'm certainly no Howard Stern, but hey, I can pretend, right? And let's see, In Disguise, meet, no, cough. I'm assuming that's what that's saying. I can interpret it as well as I can read comics. So the theme here is after I do my banter and talk to you guys for a little bit and give people a chance to roll in and so forth, then I'm going to read some comics. Now, the first comic I read is just not a huge method to the madness. I call it the opening act. And then we get the main event, which currently is ongoing reading of Gideon Falls. Tonight we're going to read issue 5. The previous episodes have read the previous issues, 1 per episode. And then the next episode will be issue 6, which is all the issues I currently have. So we'll see if that's an ending point or if we'll keep going. I'll take some feedback from you. Let's see. X people you mean, says Ed. No, I mean X-Men. They're X-Men. So let's see. If Ash is having trouble with reading chat, he's going to have a long night with him trying to read comics. Yep. It will be, especially if Breen shows up. Man, he gets me all discombobulated. But So I've done a theme of X-Men over the past 3 videos. This will be the 4th night where I'm reading X-Men from the era between 200 and 300, and this was my prime time, if you will, of comics. This was my favorite era of X-Men. This was when I came into comics as a wee youth. I was a teenager and going to the comic shop every week on my bicycle. I was about 13 years old. I ended up getting a job at the comic shop to pay for my comics, and that was amazing because, before I was just going on my allowance so I could go and like buy X-Men. And then I got a job there, and it was a little hush-hush under the table because, I'm 13 years old. I'm not really legally allowed to work. But I didn't get a payroll. The comic shop owner had me organize the back issue bins, and then he paid me in comics. And I was, hell, I get to flip through the back issue bins, which I would do just normally. It got me to learn about all the comics, what was on stock. Anything that came in that was cool, I knew about it right away. And then, he gave me, X amount of comics or some money. I don't know, he probably paid me less than minimum wage, I'm sure, but I didn't care. I was loving to read comics, and I got free books. And then I'd ride home with my comics, and it was cool. So this was the time that I loved, and this was the Jim Lee era. This issue 281. So this is the first issue of X-Men that wasn't Chris Claremont or Jim Lee, for that matter, anymore, because he had been doing the run. And it moved on. Will Spartasio, who had been doing X Factor at the time, came over, and basically the X Factor became the X-Men. And so after this time, X Factor would become the all new, all different X Factor, and Peter David and Larry Strawman would do their run with Strong Guy and Quicksilver and all that. And it would become a very different kind of weird book. But what Will Spartasio was doing with X Factor at the time was awesome. And if you ever want to read some great back issues, especially if you're like a Cable fan and you just like the history, like Apocalypse and everything like that, it starts in the 60s. I want to say maybe 64. Someone might know a little better than me, but right around there was the Ascani Sons storyline, and Cable gets taken as a baby, Nathan Summers, little baby Nathan Summers, who wasn't Cable yet, right? He's just, we don't know this. We don't know he's going to become Cable. The Ascani sisters or whatever come from the future, and they like basically, hey, we can take him to our futures, like year 3000 or whatever it is, and we have the we can save your son who's been infected at this point with the techno-organic virus. Really freaking cool story that would then lead on to a miniseries called The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. Read the X Factor and then read The Adventures of Cyclops. A really cool backstory. The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix feature a teenage Cable that was actually cool, not like the kid Cable we have today. He was the teenager that was still learning to be who he was. Scott and Jean go to his future in the year 3000 that's dominated by Apocalypse. Really cool story. Anyways, so Will Spartasio came onto this book. John Byrne came out of whatever the heck John Byrne was doing and decided to pick up writing Uncanny X-Men. This time, for the first time, John Byrne would be writing X-Men by himself, because the previous time it was a collaboration between him and Claremont, and this time it was all John Byrne. So why am I blathering about this? I'm just giving you some backstory about my perspective on comics, what I love about them, and why I'm reading these books, because these are kind of select, well, they're not really selected by me. Happened to be Comixology decided to give away 4 free X-Men books between this era, and so I have them to read. But they happen to be good books. The one I read last episode, which was the first appearance of Gambit, it wasn't the best. And you guys were there. Hopefully you were there. But it served to be a good example of even during this great heyday, there were misses. And it wasn't it wasn't a trash book by any means. I would take that book today over anything that's happening in Donna X. But the standards that were going on then with what Jim Lee and Chris Claremont were doing were astounding. So In Disguise says, sounds like it's better than the backstory of Cyclops and Wolverine. Oh boy, don't even remind me. That just depresses me. Uh, Dane says, Skip, is that ash roast like the monkey poo coffee? Jeez. Hey, Computer Robots has joined us. How good to see you, buddy. Um, so, I don't know what you guys have been doing. Do you have anything to talk about? What's going on in your lives? Are you guys hanging in there with the Corona apocalypse? You guys all hopefully staying safe and getting along. It's kind of a weird, scary time. I'm quarantined, like, just because California is in lockdown, and apparently they're like arresting people. Like there was happened like a week or two ago. It's hard to keep track of time when it's like this too. You're just like stuck in the house, and it's like days go by. And you're just like, oh, how long? What's going on? Did you hear about that story about the guy? He was like paddle surfing by himself out in the ocean, and the Coast Guard went and got him. They arrested him. It's like, dude, what is it gonna be like now? Like people just hiking by themselves out in like Joshua Tree, out in the desert, getting arrested because they're just out. It's like, I get the social distancing, I get the being prudent and being safe, and let's manage this thing. But when it gets to the point that you're arresting people who are out alone in the wilderness, it's just a problem. But I don't want to get into any like, I didn't want to bring this down. That wasn't my goal. I'm just trying to think of things to talk about, and I'm sure this is all stuff that's on your minds. But let's get, I guess, back into comics. How are you guys hanging in without having new comics? It's been kind of tough for me. The good side is I don't really have the budget for comics right now, so it's kind of nice where I'm just like, oh, I don't have to feel like I'm missing out, because otherwise it's like a strain because I'm obligated to buy my books every week, and I guess I could cancel my pull list, but then I would be, they'd still keep rolling, and I'd be like, oh man, I'm getting behind. Whereas right now I feel like, oh, okay, well, maybe they'll come back in a couple months, and in the meantime, I can put this on pause and put my money to things like food. But I guess that's one good thing, but I do kind of miss, I haven't done videos on comics. I thought about I could do back issue stuff, but not really, as Dave will tell you, man, not people aren't really interested in too often of just watching videos on back issues. I think people like being in on the conversation about what's currently going on. That YouTube's kind of replaced the water cooler, if you remember that, with the water cooler talk. And, people, you watch your favorite TV show. I don't know if you were around during the day. Well, I'm sure you guys are. Remember the TV show Lost? If you were a person that watched Lost when it was coming out and you were at work, everyone was just like talking about it. It's like, oh my gosh, you see that last episode of Lost, And that's one of the cool things about comics. As a comic fan, we just go, oh, we've been like that for decades. So let's see here. Dane says, for the first time in my life, I'm considering buying a gun. Yeah, I hear you. I think it's smart. I think if everyone can be responsible with them, I know it can be difficult if you have children in the house or other concerns, but I think a gun should be in every American's house, to be quite honest. Not because I feel they should ever be used. Hopefully they never have to be used, but I believe in an armed citizenry and not a totalitarian army that occupies the land. Let's see, Lawson Comics says, when new comics come back, I'm going to seriously reduce my list. This time has taught me that I don't need so many new books. There's so many good back issues. That is true, my friend. That is really true. There are a lot of good back issues, and if you can find a good store that has really good like discount bins, I found a store near me just a couple of months ago called SoCal Comics, and it's not the store that I normally go to. I didn't even know it existed when my buddies brought me there, and it was like heaven because they have an entire room which is just all dollar comics, and it's 3 levels high of boxes. They have like basically a table level height of long boxes with books, and then underneath that, but like on a mid shelf, is a box, and then on the floor. So there's like 3 levels of long boxes going all 4 walls, and then in the middle there's like an island doing the same thing. It's just tons of comics. And then they have like 2 bookshelves full of graphic novels and trade paperbacks that are all sort of like used. And they're $5 no matter what, just $5 trades. And I got the first Criminal trade, and it's like brand new condition. Like you can't tell. And what I love about the owners of the shop are they focus on back issues that are quality. So when you go to their back issue bins, it's not full of just junk. It's full of books that actually have a little bit of value, you know, that have gone up. They're not just staying at cover price. Everything else, dollar bin. They don't even care. Just dollar bin it. So my comic book store that sells books that I'm interested in, say like some of the DC Rebirth era, I'd love to collect. You know, I was going, you know, they usually put all the books at like cover price plus 25 cents is usually what the deal is. So like if you want, you know, something from the Peter Tomasi Superman would be something I'm interested in because I love that run. It'd be like $4.25 an issue, which is not terrible because they were $3.99 an issue. Anyway, so that's cool. But you go to SoCal Comics, they're $1 an issue. Of course, if they have them, but that's where they go. Unless they have some sort of value. And I love that. They're just like, we're just about turnaround. Meanwhile, the store that I go to, they're nice. I like them a lot, but they're not, their books will stay in these back issue bins forever. They're not about to churn. So anyways, it works out for me. Hey, Nerdettes Newsstand is here. What's going on? Nerd. Yeah. Good to see you, Nerd. I know you left Twitter like a long time ago, but it's difficult to, I don't know, stay in touch with you and talk because YouTube is not really, it's good. It's a good one way. Like I can talk to you right now from YouTube, but you can't, I guess because we're on a stream, you can talk back, but you know what I'm saying? It's not like I can reach out and say, hey, what's going on? So I feel like we lost touch a while back, but I'm glad you're still around. So glad you're doing well. I hear that your neck of the woods is kind of hit hard, so I hope you're doing well with everything that's going on. Let's see, Melissa Harris is here. Thanks for coming by, Melissa. This is a new Harley Quinn TV show, New 52 and Gotham High made me give up on Batman, and Hickman's run made me give up on X-Men. I'm sorry to hear that. Melissa, I just have to say, if Tom Taylor's run before that didn't make you give up on X-Men, then I don't know what to say. Because Hickman's run is not good, but I think I would prefer it over Tom Taylor's garbage. Let's see. Tom King's run also made me give up on Batman. You know, he did some bad things on Batman, but he's gone. And Tinian is doing really good. Tinian's Batman book is fun. You know, and Tomasi is on Detective. He's been on Detective since even before issue 1000. And he's been doing some solid work. Batman is a solid book at DC, and it's been that way for like a year. You know, I can understand giving up on Tom King's Batman, but right now, Batman's in a good place because you also got Batman Superman, which is done by Joshua Williamson, is one of the best writers at DC. So you've got, if you consider that a Batman book, you got 3 good Batman books. You just had also the opportunity, you had the White Knight book, Sean Gordon Murphy. Batman has been solid. Alfred's death should be undone. I agree with you. And don't worry, it will be undone. Because remember the golden rule, no one stays dead in comics. If they brought back Bucky, they can bring back anybody. They brought back Barry Allen. Remember that. They brought back Barry Allen. That guy was dead for a real long time. He was replaced with a Flash that pretty much everyone likes better. And no one really wanted Barry Allen back except for Jeff Johns. And I think the only reason it gets any people like accept it and are okay with it is because Jeff Johns did a really good job with it. And so it's like, oh, you know what? We didn't want this, but it's good. So, all right. So yeah. Oh yeah. Maverick says Paul Dini's back. You're right. 2020 is the year for Batman, except for it's not because there's no comics. So 2020 would be the year for Batman. But yeah, you're right. That new Batman Adventures, Unfortunately, it's only a 6-issue miniseries. I was really disappointed to hear that. I was hoping it would be just an ongoing series. That sounds like one of the best things out there. It's the whole team that did the Batman animated series, plus the guys who did the tie-in adventure comic. Good stuff. The same guy, was it Ty Templeton? On the very first episode that I did of Ash on Comics, the Storytime Live, I read that Batman Adventures comic with Batgirl and the Riddler, and that was super fun. If you guys were on that episode, I just read it because it was free. I was like, this isn't my style. I'm not really a big Batgirl fan, and it turned out awesome. That was so much fun. I want to read more of that. In Disguised had to bring down the room. Says Captain Marvel stayed dead, and you're right. He Captain Marvel is probably the one guy that will stay dead. It used to be a running joke when I was back in the 80s and 90s. We used to say in the comics, we'd say no one stays dead in comics except for Bucky and Barry Allen. We used to say it all the time. When Magneto died, on X-Men #3, the new Jim Lee X-Men, remember that? Magneto dies. We're like, oh my God, they killed Magneto. And we're like, dude, he's not dead. Like, no one stays dead. And sure enough, he came back. We're like, no one stays dead but Bucky. And then they brought back Bucky and Barry Allen. And so now I guess the new thing is no one stays dead except Marvel. Because there's no way Marvel Comics is going to trump Carol Danvers with a man. No way. So I guess, but still, even then, I think Marvel has a chance. If something happens at Marvel Comics and they have like a massive overhaul, maybe this collapses the industry due to the coronavirus and all this stuff. Maybe this just causes a complete revamp. Maybe this causes them to realize we need to do something different. This is what happened back in the 70s when, Stan Lee put Jim Shooter on in charge, on a revolving door of editors-in-chief at Marvel that just weren't cutting the mustard. And then they got this young guy named Jim, and he righted the ship. He turned that thing into the juggernaut we knew before they went bankrupt. Breen! Eric Breen is here, one of my longest-term listeners. Eric, good to see you, buddy. Nalo is here. Nalo is a really interesting guy. I like to chat with him a lot on Discord. He's very good conversationalist and lots of good ideas. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. Sean Gordon Murphy turned Batman into a communist Bernie, bro. Oh, Melissa, come on. No. Nalo didn't like where Curse of the White Knight ended. You know what? I have not read the final issue yet. I know it's weird, but I've been loving it up to issue 7. So I'm fearful because I've heard people say this, and I'm like, no, I don't want it to be a disappointment because I love original Curse of the White Knight so much, and I loved the sequel even better up to this point. In Disguise says, never kill a great villain, always bring them back for revenge. I'm gonna pose a counter argument to you, In Disguise. Kraven the Hunter. Do you really think that he should not have stayed dead? Do you really think that Kraven's last hunt should not have been his last hunt? Let's see. He says, I just don't like Murphy's Batman. I like Kingdom Come Classic Earth 2 and 1 Batman, Dark Knight Returns, and pre-52 Batman. Don't get mad. I'm not. No one's mad at you. I'm just, everyone's got their own cup of tea that they like. But keep in mind that Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman isn't like an Elseworlds idea. It's a Murphyverse Batman. It's not meant to be the continuity Batman. It's meant to just be his take. So take it that way, like the movies. And Sean Gordon Murphy said that his version of Batman is based more on the original movie, you remember the original 89 Batman, and also Paul Dini's Batman animated series Batman. And it's sort of like kind of a hodgepodge collection of that formed into like kind of a what if world. So I agree. He's not the Batman that's That's the classic. But I kind of almost wish it was. There's so many things that he does well in that book, in my opinion. What I love about his book actually is not so much that he does Batman great. It's every other character around. I love Gordon in that book. I love Montoya, who I could flush down a toilet before his book. The character that I hate, the Signal. What's that character's name? Thomas. Is it Duke Thomas? I hate that character. But in The White Knight, he's badass. Love Duke Thomas. Batgirl and Nightwing are, which I normally am just like, meh, whatever. But they're so cool, and I don't know. That's me. That's my take. I just love seeing these other characters. How could Marvel bring Marvel back if no one is working? Pencils down. Yeah. Eventually people are going to be working again, Maverick. I mean, whether it's a total apocalypse and we go for 100 years of wasteland and then we rebuild society, or if we just get some balls and we decide to reopen the economy and face the music like everyone else that come before us. It wasn't during the days of the Black Plague. They didn't just stay locked up in their house and starve. Every society before us, I feel, has dealt with much tougher things than us in a much stronger method. Here it's like, oh no, 10,000 people died, let's shut down the whole world. Like, I know the numbers are a little bit bigger than that, but in reality, the thing is I think people aren't aware of how much death goes on. Like, millions of people die every year. And it's tragic, but that's the nature. We are mortals. Humanity, the circle of life. In order for there to be a birth rate, there has to be a death rate. And it sucks. I don't want anyone to die, especially before their time. But the world's not a safe place. You can walk outside, you can get struck by lightning, you can get hit by a car, you can have a blood clot in your brain and just keel over dead. Your appendix could burst and you could die. There's so many millions of ways that you can die, and it sucks, and we should try to prevent it if we can, but we can't just force everyone into poverty and destitution and homelessness and everything because we want to save a drop, or in a perspective, a drop in the bucket of people. I know it's cold and everything, but the government doesn't have the I don't know, I'm getting way in the weeds of this, and you guys don't want to hear me talk about this. Let's get into some comics, because that's what everyone is really here for. Yeah. Kay says you could choke on food. I was just talking about that to some kids today. All right. Comic books. You came here not to hear me sing. X-Men 281. Look at this cool ass double page. They don't do this that much anymore. You notice that? That's because Marvel and DC don't have money like they used to pay artists. So this costs more. This costs like twice as much, actually. But it's really cool. Look at that art. I love Sentinels. Sentinels are my favorite villain of X-Men. I don't know why. I'm usually the kind of guy who hates when robots are the villains. One of my biggest disappointments with the Star Wars prequels was when Lucas was like, we're going to replace stormtroopers with droids. I was like, gay. Yay, everyone's shooting droids. This is exciting. Normally I'm against that, but Marvel did it Marvel did it before James Cameron. I was going to say they did it the Terminator way, but Terminator actually ripped off Marvel. With the way the Sentinel, they were scary. The old school Sentinels were scary AF. Dane says, holy crap, he's going to read a comic book. Don't tempt me, buddy. Don't tempt me. All right. So this is Uncanny X-Men 281. I've set the scene. This was $1. Can you imagine that? Remember when comics were $1? I do. Eric Breens remembers when they were 10 cents. Did I not? I didn't switch to full screen. There we go. Now you know. When it goes to full screen, you know it's on. A new team is born. Desperate alliances. the Australian outback earlier today. I'll get this right, Comixology. There it is again. There's something moving out there. I can hear it. This blasted sandstorm would just let up for 2 minutes. But it won't. It hasn't even peaked yet. Yes? But I know I heard something. Something big. This blasted sand. You're just letting your imagination run away with you, Cole. Lord knows there ain't much else for a man to do with his time here. There's a woman behind every tree, except there ain't no trees. Yeah, come on and have another drink, Cole. We can talk about the last time we busted up the X-Men. Yeah, too long since we cleaned their clocks for 'em. X-Men. Maybe that's what... Forget it, will ya? Come on and have that drink. Maybe later we can go to Sydney or Melbourne and find us some broads. Real broads, not witches like Lady Deathstrike or Celia. Hey, there it is again. Cole, will you shut up? I've heard too much of your blithering today. We're 1,000,000 miles from nowhere, in the middle of a sandstorm. What could... Eh? Now look at the window. You can barely... It's like real subtle in the panels. Right here in the middle of the screen. Something looking through the window. If you're just... And this is where it pays to pay attention to the art. Especially when it's got good art. But I can often find myself in the habit of just bouncing from word balloon to word balloon as I burn through a comic. And I've really had to train myself and keep up at it, because my habit sometimes is just want to get to the story, especially if it's good. You're like, keep going, and not take the time to appreciate what you're seeing. And you miss out on nice gems like this. Targets confirmed. Renegade Enclave codename Reavers. Targeting systems locked. Terminate all units. Ouch. That does not look... Look at that. No! Sentinels! Fresh up start. Nah! Stan Lee presents The Birth of a New Era for the Uncanny X-Men with Jim Lee and Will Spertasio plot, John Byrne's script, and Will Spertasio pencils. Art to bear inks. Orzechowski, of course, is a letterer. I talked about him last episode. Joe Rosas was a colorer. Joe Rosas, by the way, was the only colorist I knew back in that day. He was the only person who stood out to me as far as I was reading comments like, oh, Joe's coloring this? He's the best. Bob Harris, who's currently the editor-in-chief at DC Comics. And then Tom DeFalco was the editor-in-chief during this time. So, New York City. And in this vulnerable brownstone, the headquarters of the renowned Hellfire Club. On the 4th floor. I do not know what makes me more uncomfortable. Being here or being forced to wear this preposterous gown. You look fine, Storm. We fit right in with the crowd downstairs, but... Jean? Are you? I'm all right, Warren. It's just the shared memories I have with this phoenix creature. It was being here, dealing with the Hellfire Club the first time that led to her death. I know this is hard for you, my friend, but you don't have to say it, Storm. I know what I have to do. I'm still in telepathic contact with Iceman and Colossus. I hear you, Jeannie. So far, young Mr. Rasputin and I are doing okay, but here come some of the Hellfire Club junior leaguers. Well, Mr. Drake, what a very pleasant thing it is to find you here. Could it be you're even more handsome than I've been told? Could be, if you're roulette. Then you've been using your luck-changing powers on yourself. Bobby, this is serious business. Lighten up, Colossus. This is gonna be easy. You might think so, Beef, since you Hellions have not been taught to respect human life as we have. Uh-oh. Hey, big boy, if you're going to try to start something, no beef, but I will be happy to finish what you start. Stop it, you estupidos. Empath says stop. Sounds like business as usual downstairs, Roro. The one called Empath has used his emotion-altering power to quiet Peter and the other one. But I don't know why we ever thought we could work with the Hellions. We have little choice, Jean. I, too, am uneasy. But until we are through the troubled times, we must trust to the judgment of Professor X. Heads up, ladies. Looks like our hostess is ready for us. Miss Frost will see you now, ladies, and... Crash! Oh, what in the... Clumsy child, very clumsy. You do not bait the lioness in her den, nor the spider at the center of her web. This is the second time in as many weeks an attempt has been made on my life. Though it would seem my would-be assassins are getting younger and younger. Welcome, X-Men. Doubtless you now begin to guess why I invited you here tonight. Meanwhile, a luxurious penthouse apartment far above the bustle of New York. Will it be the oysters or the snails this evening, Master Shinobi? Dinner first, I think. A king must not allow his energy level to diminish. An odd statement, Shinobi, from one who has chosen such a, shall we say, decadent lifestyle. You would be the last to judge, I think, Fitzroy. Are not you Englishmen well known for your quirks? But we are here to discuss our common interests. Your present wish to become a full-fledged upstart, even to replace me as king. In the first, as least, I might be willing to assist you. Your use of a portion of my inheritance. Sentinels, yes, a kind offer. But as you can see from these transmissions from down under... Trevor Fitzroy has sentinels of his own. Smaller than mine. Not a design I'm familiar with. But you'll have to do better than this obvious and unsubtle display of force if you honestly cherish any hope of unseating me. I remind you that I have already eliminated my own father in accordance with our master plan, and Sebastian Shaw was worth 50 times his weight in reavers. Perhaps, but I have targeted the White Queen for destruction, and know this. By day's end, your pitiful kingship will be mine. You dare? Take your hand off me. As you wish, my lord. If you will now excuse me, I have a party to attend, as I'm sure you can imagine. I have a special interest in seeing Miss Dear Frost come to her timely and, one hopes, most unpleasant end. Yes, your hatred for the Frost woman is only too well known, Fitzroy. That is your greatest weakness. I do not let my feelings cloud my wisdom as you do. Be sure such prejudices do not prove your undoing. In my head, the telepathic link to Jean. I felt it too, a girl screaming. It didn't sound like Jean, but whoever she is, it sounded like her soul was being torn open. It must be someone close by, Jean, or the telepathic link would have not transmitted her agony. There is no more time for this game of hide-and-seek. We must find the others. Frost, enough. The girl will tell you nothing if you destroy her mind. Make her stop, psychic backlash. I can't stand. Spare me your petty sensibilities, X-Men. This young witch presents a threat to myself and my organization, and anything which threatens the Hellfire Club must sooner or later threaten the X-Men. Now open your mind to me, young one, before I peel your psyche like a ripe fruit. I said enough, Frost! I would not deny you the right to defend yourself, but I draw the line at torture, especially when it threatens Jean Grey. No? I had no idea poor Jean had become so vulnerable. And you can back off, witch. Bavatron. What is this guy's name? Bevatron? Someone know his name? Could tell me in the chat, please. I'm going to say Bevatron. There you go. Excellent, Bevatron. Not even Storm is immune to your bioelectric bolts. Looks like the truce is over before it's even begun. We should have known it would be so, Archangel. Oh, I'm doing the wrong voice again. There is too much bad blood between the X-Men and the Hellfire Club for any peace to be a lasting one. Hey, let go! You heard him, big boy. Pick on someone your own size. Stay down, Storm. We've got to end this quickly before civilians get involved. No, Archangel, wait. Too late, Storm. Both sides have been spoiling for this fight for too long. Speak for yourself, Cat's Eye. We came in good faith, but if it's a fight you want, then the X-Men will give you one. You would do well to surrender now, Beef, while you still have the chance. In your ear, Rusky. The Hellions. Stop! Jean, my head. Get her out of my head. Jean is not playing. We're here because Emma Frost says there's some force threatening all of us. If we battle each other, we only leave ourselves open to attack from whatever the force might be. Good, Miss Gray. Very, very good. Somehow, I would have not expected the call for reason to have come from you, or to have come with such vigor. Then I suggest you make a mental note to yourself, Frost. None of the X-Men are ever to be underestimated. Agreed. If I thought you any less than you are, I would not have contacted your leader to suggest this truce. The time has come to get down to cases, X-Men. The inner circle of the Hellfire Club is under attack. It is not necessary that you know which of our membership has been assaulted. Only the degree of damage which has been inflicted, the savagery of their attacks, the identity of our attackers is unknown, but their purpose is clear, and, as I have said, if the Hellfire Club falls, can the X-Men be far behind? Your logic is flawed, Frost. We answer your cry for the help as we would of anyone in need, mutant or otherwise. But we are not prepared to reinstate the truce until you are convicted of the truth of what you say. Until we are convinced of the truth of what you say. You must tell us everything. Who of your organization has been attacked? When? Where? What is their present condition? Again, that is for me to know, and me alone. But as to convincing you of the severity of the threat against us all, that could be easily accomplished. If you will allow me to complete my interrogation of our prisoner. Yes, she'll talk. She'll tell us who's behind. Ah! She will tell you nothing, Jetstream. You have been a little clumsy, little one. You should have chosen a target within more reach of your abilities. It would be a pity to see our schemes unraveled because of your foolishness. Especially when my own plans continue so perfectly. Deathstrike! Save me! Pierce? Laboratory complex isolated. Programming search for unit identification. Sentinels! But they only hunt mutants! It would seem they are no longer so fussy. They blasted through my men with little consideration of their pedigree. Unit Pierce identified. Close and seize. Hold them back. I've got to get to Gateway. Gateway? Why? Your cowardly tendencies choose the most inopportune times to appear, Pierce. Lucky for you, Lady Deathstrike is more than a match for any walking automaton. Damage to this unit. Assessing level 4. Initiate repair sequence. What? It's grabbing the lab equipment. Reshaping it. Fusing the pieces with its own form? Now, reattaching the severed arm? Repair sequence complete. This unit now fully functional. But this is not possible. I've studied the available data on Sentinels. Not even the most advanced could.
Unit identified, codename Lady Deathstrike. Commence termination.
If my talons are no use against them, what am I to do? How do I kill what cannot be killed? Deathstrike! Don't just stand there, woman. Aren't you listening? It's Pierce they want. Get out of their way and they'll go after him.
Prime target relocated. Termination program re-engaged.
Deathstrike! Blast the woman. She put up no more resistance than a housefly. There's a cool shot here. Just him blasting at the Sentinels. But I don't need much time now. The sandstorm seems to have died down finally. Even had it not, I could find my way to Gateway by touch if needs be. But will the fool understand what I need? If I have to waste even a single heartbeat trying to make him understand. Gateway! Gateway, wake up, blast you! That's a cool shot here, too. You must use your powers to send me away from here. Gateway, do you hear me? You've got to transport me away from here. Gateway, do you hear? Wake up, blast you. Wake up. Yes, that's it. Spin your bull roar. Open one of your teleportation portals. Send me away, far away. In fact, yes. Send me to the one who's behind this attack. That's it. Whoever it is will never expect me to carry the battle to their own door. Send me to the one responsible, Gateway. Hurry! Now, close your portal. Curse your miserable hide. Close the portal before the Sentinels get through.
Unit Pierce escaping. Scanning dimensional interface. Exit point undetermined. Units 2007, 2016, and 2024 maintain pursuit. Maximum speed. Portal is closed. Unit Pierce is beyond our means to apprehend. Remaining units return to launch point.
Meanwhile, in New York City, especially when my own plans continue so perfectly. Jetstream, you've killed him. I should certainly hope so, my dear Beef. I cannot imagine that he would enjoy what would be left of his life in that condition, much as you will not enjoy your own condition. If you are even alive yourself. Look at that. Bam! Look at that. Backhands him. He flies back through two buildings and then bounces off. That's cool. Let's see, what does he say here? If you are even alive yourself, when and wherever you land. He just claps on the concrete. Who is this guy? Where's he getting all that power? From that funky outfit, I'd bet, babe. Looks like the Sorry, I'm all fluster busted here. From that funky outfit, I'd bet, babe. Looks like the mix must got altered with a little clam bake. Fools! He's killed two of our number in less than 30 seconds. Are you going to stand there discussing it until he does the same to you? Stand aside. He may have been more than Beef's blundering brute strength could deal with, but nothing can stand before the power of my psychic mind blasts. You may be right about that, Miss Frost, assuming your power could reach me, but even were I not protected by the force field of this weapon system, even you cannot attack what you cannot see. Vanished. Super strength? Invisibility? This being possesses the powers of the Super Scroll, the alien enemy of the Fantastic Four. But he's no alien, Storm. I would have sensed that immediately, I'm sure. Now, wait. I'm trying to get a psychic fix on him. If he's still anywhere in the building... Oh, you need not fear on that account, X-Men. I will not be leaving before I'm done. Aurora! You are a clumsy stranger, whoever you are. You would seem to recognize us as the X-Men, yet you seem ill-prepared for our powers. Learn then why Aurora is known as the Mistress of the Storm. No! Hurricane, lifting me. Hold him, Colossus. My telekinesis has frozen the circuitry in those control gloves, but you cannot hope to control anything so complex for more than a few seconds. While you, Miss Frost, can do no more than bluster when your opponent is more than a child. We'll soon see who's blustering, whoever you are. When my mind blast has turned your brain into... What? Frost! The Hellfire Club! Ah! Pierce, using your pet... Pierce, using your pet aborigine to teleport here? But... You're under attack, you fool. What have you led into our midst? Spare me the play acting, Emma. I ordered Gateway to send me to the one responsible. I don't know why I should be surprised it would be you. Oh, look at his arm just getting blasted off. Through Sebastian Shaw, the Hellfire Club has long had access to Sentinel technology. Sentinels? No, Pierce, tell me that you haven't. Pierce, no! No! It is Sentinels! The fool has brought Sentinels into the middle of... They appear disoriented. It may take a fraction of a second for their robotic circuitry to adjust to the teleportation. Quickly, X-Men, Hellions, use your powers while you have a chance. You don't have to tell me twice, Storm. My blast can free Miss Frost, but she's so still. I can't feel her emotion. The White Queen is dead? And the rest of you will join her soon. Oh, that's the wrong guy. I was going to start over. And the rest of you will join her soon enough. Sentinels, obey the voice of your master. Programming alteration. Attack the X-Men. Attack the Hellions. They were doing a good enough job of that without your orders, friend. This Archangel flies by as a cool shot. Iceman, throw up a barrier. Protect the civilians on the street. No sooner said than done, Angel. Hey, this is the flavor I've been missing. This is like the old days. But our old big Russian buddy is in trouble. Worry less about him than yourself, Iceman. Today, the X-Men die. And my kingship is assured. There's this badass shot of Colossus just punching through the face of a Sentinel. These Sentinels seem different from any that we have battled in the past, but not so different that they can resist the power of my armored form. I'm free. That's one I owe you, X-Men. Yeah, well, it's a debt that might get called in sooner than you think, Taro. Peter, look, no!
Continue termination of target Colossus 22024.
Boom, then just pound him into the something. I don't know what that is. The ground.
We will recapture target, Taro.
No, my tarot cards. No time to collect the ones I've dropped. Have to make do with whatever I have.
Target, Taro, materializing countermeasure. Countermeasure, countered. Target, Taro, terminated.
I just blast the hell out of him.
Alert, target, Jean Grey attacking.
This is madness. They're slicing through us as if we were rank amateurs. These Sentinels are like nothing I've ever battled before.
Nor any you shall ever battle again.
Oh, Comixology froze. All right, well, this is a good time to address the chat. Let's see what's going on. Dun, 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 dun. Gotta scroll up a little bit. I gotta scroll up a lot, man. You guys have been doing all sorts of talking here. Let's see. Eric Breen is stuck in the cotton candy machine. Don't know what that's about. Ed Brewer says the pros will go the Indiegogo route. Yeah, that's probably true. And then everyone's going to find out that the Indiegogo pie is only so big, and that every slice will get smaller and smaller the more people that go into it. and that the great majority of comic fans don't want to pay for $30 comics. So some people will make some money the Indiegogo route, but it's not going to replace comics at all. Maverick says, so Mad Max scenario could happen. Sorry, just trying to laugh through all this. I honestly hope so. I'm sorry, I hope not. I don't know what the future holds. I didn't foresee this happening. I don't know where we can go. But I do know that, well, I'm not going to keep going. Let's go on the comics. It says, Melissa's, Ash, you and Professor Geek, Big All Troy are my friends, and so is this Lethal, Lightning, and Nerdette, and many more. Oh, okay, cool, good. In disguise, I am here for shits and giggles. Well, hopefully I can provide the latter at least. I don't know if I give you the shits, that's a bad sign. Eric says, for now, soon no one will be able to afford food. Yep, I'm going to be on that boat soon. Oh, holy crap, he's going to read a comic. Oh, that was before that. So Sergeant Bats has shown up. Hey, Sergeant Bats. All the people who hoarded toilet paper can eat it. Eat the bat, I'm supposing. Bats is apparently the cause of all this. So everyone can blame Sergeant Bats. Thanks, Bats. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Iceman not gay in this, is he? Nope. Surprise! Iceman is flirting with a woman. It's so weird. It's almost like he liked women. In disguise, Kitty Pryde has not got to him yet. It was Jean Grey that got to him, turned him gay. Let's see. When has the master plan ever worked? Melissa says, back when the X-Men used to be heroes and not segregationist cult, right? You notice that? You notice that about this issue that we're reading here, that the X-Men talk about like saving civilians, and then when Storm made that comment that we're here, to help whether you're mutant or human. So yeah, like they were heroes. They cared about helping people. Also, you're going to notice how this is the 4th comic that I've read that spans a 100-issue run, from in between issue 200 to 300. And everyone talks about how, like, oh, it's always been about racial inequality and oppression and stuff. If you notice how there's still no issues that I've read so far have anything to do with the X-Men fighting being oppressed, right? It's all about helping people and fighting villains and robots, and none of it is ever, there's no like, yeah, damn muties. There's none of it. Because Claremont only did that once in a while. Just like in the real world, every once in a while you might run into some white bigot, right? You might go into the far south and you might find some white nationalist guy. Because it's not like they don't exist. They're just so small in numbers. So yeah. Anyways, X-Men, it's the truth of it's out there. If people push this agenda with the modern comics and try to tell you, oh, the past was like this, and it's because they hope that you aren't actually knowledgeable. Because most normies that read comics today don't know. Most of the people that make these arguments don't know. The people that will tell you X-Men's always been about social justice haven't read X-Men for probably anywhere past, earlier than 2010, right? So they think they've read a couple issues and they go, oh, yep, I know everything about it. And they don't. Anyways, I'm getting lost in stupid commentary. Comixology is working again. So we'll cut back to our story.
Nor any you shall ever battle again. Press home for the advantage. 2016. The target was unprepared for our resilience. Target falling.
Oh no, Jean. Look at her.
Target incapacitated. Termination sequence engaged.
No. It can't end like this. One chance. If I only have the time. I feel like we've seen Jean Grey in a position like this before.
Termination accomplished. Target Marvel Girl is dead.
A condition with which I understand she is quite familiar. This time, however, she will find it more permanent. We have done well, my sentinel. We have not killed all the X-Men as I might have wished, but we have cut them to their very heart. It will be a very long time, before they can recover from this day's defeat. Look at them, they're just standing there. You'd think at least they'd try to get away. After doing all this damage, it's a miracle no one but mutants were killed. Still, somebody ought to do something. Hey, look, isn't that Senator Kelly? What's he? You, X-Men! And of course, right on cue, as I'm talking about, there's no mutant oppression. I forgot Senator Kelly, the guy who hates the mutants, who pushes his agenda, is here. Because, of course, the Sentinels are part of that. The other two murdered our companion. What is the meaning of all this? How dare you burst into a private club endangering innocent lives? I'll see you pay for this. Do you hear me? And pay dearly. Hey, lighten up, Senator. There's a dead girl here. What? Who? See for yourself, Senator. While Archangel and I allowed our focus to be diverted to the single Sentinel attacking Colossus. Speaking to us not of payment, Senator Kelly. Speak to us not of payment, Senator Kelly. Tonight the X-Men have paid in the most precious coin of all. The other two murdered our companion. Next, vengeance is ours. So, I love this book. This is a great book. And then, I'm not going to buy that. So, what did everyone think? Lost in Comics says, I like the Sentinel voice. Thanks, man. Everything you hear is completely cold read, on the fly. No practice voices. So some of them are probably going to suck. I'm definitely no professional voice actor. Like I said, I'm just I've said before, I'm just a comic book fan who, I just love comics like you guys, hopefully. And I do my best to just, read them the way I enjoy reading them and put myself out there. And if they suck, it sucks. I'm probably not going to win any talent competitions, but I think comic fans hopefully will understand. And, I'm going to go through and just kind of show the pages as they are meant to be seen in all their glory and not the frame by frame. And as we can talk, and you can see, man, Will Spartasio was a favorite artist of mine during the time. And this was a great time to be a fan with Chris Claremont and Jim Lee on the new X-Men and Will Spartasio and John Byrne on Uncanny X-Men. It was just like, oh man, dream come true. And Sentinels being, what they were, this was a fantastic time. Tons of excitement. You can see, you can also notice this being different, how this isn't the first time of the books I've read so far. It's not Chris Claremont. You can see a distinct difference in the style of writing. It's still kind of wordy because Jim, I believe, who was involved in the writing at this point, still took a lot from Chris Claremont in his style of writing. But it didn't have that sort of like poetic nature and speak. And then John Byrne doing scripting, everything's much more matter of fact. I like them both. Look at this page here. He couldn't do this in a modern Marvel comic. Where are her organs? I love that meme. I don't know if you guys see that. But yeah, look at this. I mean, it's beautiful women, beautiful men. Today it would have to be, I don't know, it'd be a bunch of body positive people, I guess. I don't know. Just things that you just don't see anymore. And it kind of sucks. Comics used to just be fun. They used to be like rock and roll. And now they're, I don't know what kind of music you compare them to. But these pages, look at the layouts, and it's just all action and great characters. Just they're bantering back and forth, and it's the X-Men versus the Hellfire Club versus the Sentinels. This is just a big, three-way fight. I love the shit out of this time. So Melissa says she's always seen the X-Men as outcast. And that's true. The X-Men have always been outcast, but not in the way that it's like like oppressed, not sort of, it's not, they weren't supposed to stand for the civil rights movement. They weren't, God, I'm drawing a blank to what's her name on the back of the bus. God, you guys know who I'm talking about, but I'm drawing a blank on her name. Someone can put it in the chat. The idea was that every teenager feels a little bit like an outcast, right? If you're young, you don't know your place in society. And this is also during an era, you guys pause and remember for a second that this was before like MCU. This is before even Spider-Man, right? This is before Christopher Nolan Batman movies. This is a time where comics were not normal mainstream affair. People that went to comic book shops and bought comics were outcasts. I remember distinctly being a teenager and going to the comic book store, being in junior high, and like not telling people that I collected comics because you were thought of as a dork and a nerd, and like it made you kind of feel like an outcast. After I graduated high school, and probably around this era where Jim Lee and like all the Image guys started changing things, and it started becoming a little bit more mainstream, it started becoming less uncool, but it still wasn't the level of today where you can just walk around and see normies on the street wearing Captain America shirts and stuff, like, because the movies have turned a sort of nerd culture movement into mainstream, and now it's cool to like comic book stuff. Maybe not actually buy comics, because no one does that really, right? But they still love the characters, and they love them because of the movies. And maybe when they were kids, I talked to a lot of people that they didn't read X-Men comics, but they were a kid. They were like, I watched that X-Men cartoon and I loved it. Rosa Parks, thanks in disguise. I don't know why. And my brain was like fixated on Harriet Tubman, and I was like, no, it's not Harriet Tubman. Who was? And I couldn't remember, but Rosa Parks. And I'm embarrassed that I couldn't remember, because she's someone who I feel very much is a hero in her own rights, and someone I very much admire. And I'm embarrassed I couldn't remember her name. Let's see. Was it White Knight, A World Where Keaton's Batman or Conroy Batman? Even more unhinged. Okay. I wish the Sentinels would burn Krakoa down. Hey, well, that now that Doctor Doom has Sentinels, maybe that's a possibility. So I don't know. What do you guys think of the art? I know the coloring is a little bit stark compared to what people are used to today, because you got to remember that, first of all, we didn't have the digital coloring like we do today, and the paper was different, so it couldn't hold all the coloring. I think it might have still been on newsprint. I think this book was still a newsprint book. So the newsprint, you can't do the full coloring like that. It just turns all muddy. In disguise says, I'm not even American. Well, that makes me even more embarrassed. Thank you. I appreciate that. But you don't need to be American. Rosa Parks, what she did was, is important just for human rights ideology. There's great people all over the world. You can think of like Mother Teresa, right? She wasn't American, but hopefully Americans should know about her. Pardon me, I gotta get a drink. Well, I drink in your ear. People tell me I'm a loud drinker. Let's see. Now the comic book are still outcast. Just got cast out of comic book shops. Say that out loud 3 times. What? Who bet that Doom will fix his face once he gained godlike power? I don't know. I don't know. I think you would. I don't think comic books take that into consideration because it's kind of a trope for Doom. But yeah, I guess, well, you know, Doom's had ultimate power. Why is he still ugly? Who knows? Oh, I guess, didn't Bendis fix that though? Didn't Bendis make him look all normal? Who knows? In disguises, I remember bleeding lines and the color bot making it to the lines. Anyways, this was my time. I love X-Men. No one said anything about the book, whether you liked it. Hopefully you did. Hopefully my reading of it didn't detract. It's very tough reading these older books out loud because these characters, they don't talk like real people. They talk like comic book people. And it can be difficult because your brain wants to see the words in the way that you would say them, but sometimes they're like flip backwards, and then I get weird moments of dyslexia. That is that. I don't know what I'm gonna read next week. Next week I'm gonna have to find something new because that's my last X-Men book. But for this week, we still have the main event, which is Gideon Falls. Not necessarily better, but this is a story that we've been following as a serial. What? Scotty Young did a variant cover of this? What the hell? Why did Scotty Young do variant covers of that? What the hell? All right. So, should we start the new book, or do I banter with you guys for a little bit? I got 11 people in the chat. That's like 1/10 of a Thinking Critical episode. So, hey, I feel kind of good about that since he's got about 10 times as many viewers as me. I guess I'm right in line for that. I don't know if you guys watch Wes over at Thinking Critical. He's got a great channel. Guy's worked really hard to get where he's at. More than 10 times harder than I have. He's kind of where I go to get all my news source. So I don't even try to compete with that because it's a lot of work to do news and schedule interviews and things like that. So it's a lot easier to read comics and just bullshit online. Let's see. Try some of the newer books. Incorrect things on the editor's page. I'm not sure. Not sure what you're saying there. But here we have Gideon Falls. This issue is called We Are All Just Soft Instruments. Let me see the settings here. Skip and Tosh says that he does this thing where it goes a full page on the exit. So I'm going to try that. All right, we're starting off. Hand grabbing a hammer. Hello, Father. I've been waiting for you. Now, if you remember last episode, they showed up to one of the deputies' houses. There was a disturbance, and they found him in this room, and he's got a body hanging from the ceiling, and that was kind of where I let off. I don't know what this is. Drop it, Joe! Get down on the ground now! I don't think so. Throws a hammer. Gun falling. Blam! So this kind of works out pretty good here. So you can see by me doing panel to panel like this, it's really hard to follow the story because when you can see the whole picture, you can see things going on. But when I was going through panel to panel, you're just like, what the hell's happening? A lot of comics aren't just meant to be read this way. So I'm glad we got the full picture here. Continuing.
Stop. Your time is coming, priest. But not yet. Ah!
It like stabs him through the hand. Father!
I'll be okay. Go.
She walks outside, gun drawn. Janet? Hold on, Janet.
Oh, God.
Help! She's bleeding to death. Saw you inside. You were there. Janet? Janet?
She's gone.
Backup is on the way. Stay here, Father.
Fat chance. Careful. Quiet.
The hell? Oh, look at that. What do you want to bet that that's where the black barn sat? Father, we need to see Doc Sutton. Here's one of those upside down shots again. I made you some tea. Do tea bags go stale? I think it's pretty old. I don't drink much tea. Thank you, Norton. I'm sure it's fine. So, when did you first see it? The barn?
When I was very young. Maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Jesus. When I was a kid, I thought they were just dreams. But now I wonder. How much do you remember about your childhood?
Not much.
It's all sort of like a dream, too. I remember just being here in the city. I remember the policemen. I remember the orphanage. And then the hospital. The hospital was awful. I just wanted to die. I tried to die a few times. But you know that. You have my files. Yes, we've never talked about that in our sessions. You weren't ready. Your obsessions with the garbage was always in the way. But that's what saved me. In the hospital, when I discovered what the garbage was, that the garbage was key to finding it, that's when I knew I had a higher purpose. The barn is horrifying. It feels evil. I don't know why you want to find it. What do you think will happen if you do, Norton?
I don't know for sure.
But I think it's the only way. Only way for what? The only way to fix me. You feel it now too, don't you? These contradictions, like your mind is split in half. You're terrified of it, but you're too drawn to it too. Yes, I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Norton, I want to help you, but I'm scared. I'm scared too. Norton, have you ever been hypnotized? Meanwhile, back at Sutton's house.
Yes, Reg. Call me as soon as you can find anything. I'll be down there to help as soon as I finish here. Knocking on the door. Reggie and the rest are searching the fields and the surrounding areas. Still no trace of Joe Reddy anywhere. You really should go home, Father. A little late for that, Sheriff. Now, why do you want to see Dr. Sutton? You don't think that Sutton had anything to do with... Father Fred? Sheriff? I didn't expect to see you out here again. What do I owe the pleasure? We need to talk. Now. Jesus, Father. What the heck did you do to yourself? Come in. I'll stitch that up too. This is a nasty piece of work. What about this? Oh no, that's not one of mine. You sure? Of course I am. Where'd you find it? Joe Reddy murdered Tony Ballard and his wife tonight. Ballard? No. I'm sorry, Father Fred. I'm sorry, Father Fred told me that you two had become friends. We chased Reddy into a cornfield and he disappeared. The corn was flattened and the scalpel was all we found. Flattened? You mean like when... Yes. Like what? What am I missing here? Hasn't she told you about her brother? Clara's brother disappeared in a cornfield when he was 8. We found a clearing of flattened corn and nothing else. Just his footprints in the mud and then nothing. We spent years looking for him, but it was the barn. The barn took him. That's why... Stop it! It was not the goddamn barn, Dad. Oh, Dad. Dad? Oh, this is a good reveal. Ah, so she didn't tell you that either, huh? I guess she's embarrassing me. You're damn right I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed of what you've become. I mean, look at this place. I'm embarrassed that instead of trying to look for your son in the real world like I did, you let it break you and hid yourself in this fucking fantasy. It did not break me. It opened my eyes to the truth. You're the one living in fantasy, Clara, and I know a part of you believes it. If you didn't, you wouldn't have come here. It's just, Dad, do you think Joe Reddy could have taken him? Joe Reddy did not take your brother. Joe was a good man. Back then, he was one of us, a plowman. Whatever Joe did tonight, it was the barn that made him do it. Opening a drawer. Here. What? What is this supposed to be? I found that in your brother's room after. You're lying. Lying? Clara, the day before he disappeared, he came into my room. Late at night, said he had a nightmare and couldn't sleep. I asked him what the dream was about. He said, I was lost in an old barn and I couldn't get out. I had to work early the next day or something. I was tired and got angry and told him to go back to bed. That was the last time I saw him. That was the last time I saw my little boy. So don't you tell me I'm lying. I would never lie about him. Never. Why didn't you ever tell me before? You were 12 when he disappeared. This would not have helped you to understand what happened to him. And later, you made it very clear you wanted nothing to do with me or my beliefs. Beliefs? Is this what you call all of this bullshit? Sheriff, maybe we should hear him out. I mean, don't tell me you're falling for this crap too, Father. Congrats, Dad. You have someone new who's gullible enough to sit and listen to your bullshit. Clara, wait. If Joe Reddy is... Shut up, Dad. I've heard enough, and I'm sorry I ever wasted time coming here when I have real work to do. You two enjoy each other.
Okay, Norton. Let's begin. Norton, where are you? What do you see? It's dark. Wait. There is something here. Garbage. Lots and lots of garbage. I'm surrounded by it. The landfill? The city dump? Yes. The source. The well. This must be right before the police found you, when you were 8. Listen to me, Norton. I need you to go further back. I need you to remember what came before this. No, I don't want to look back. There are bad things behind me. I know it's scary, Norton, but I need you to. Will you do it for me? Will you turn around? Okay. I'm turning around. I'm looking behind me. Yes, I remember now. This isn't where I started. I walked here to the dump from outside. Can you go back? Can you retrace your steps? Yes, I'm walking back now, going through the fence I crawled through to get inside. Now what? I'm crossing the streets. It's scary here. Lots of warehouses and old abandoned buildings. Please, can I stop? Can I go back to the landfill? I feel safer there. I'm sorry, Norton. I need you to keep going. I need you to remember. Please. This is where the bad things are. I don't want to go back. It's okay. I'm with you this time. You don't need to be scared. Oh God. I'm here. This is the place. Where? Where are you, Norton? What place? The place where I came from. Where is it? Where is it exactly? A vacant lot. Are there signs? Street signs? Yes. Carlton and Jarvis. East End. Can we stop now? Can we please stop? No. We need to go into the lot, Norton. We need to see it. It's so dark back here. The further I walk in, the darker it gets. But there's something here. Something in the shadows. What? What's in the shadows, Norton? Oh, God. Yes. There it is. I see it. The door. Dun, dun, dun. I see the door. I see the other side. If the barn has ready, then it's only a matter of time until he kills again, Father. But it's not too late. I can call the other plowmen, and with you at our side, a man of God. I don't think so, Doctor. But Father Fred, you must see what's happening by now. All I see is a very confused man. Trust me, Doctor, I know what it's like to want something so badly, to believe in something so badly, but I think it's best if you let the sheriff and her team deal with this. Blam! Clara? Sheriff Miller? Hold on a second, I need to take a drink. Whew. It's hard on my voice. Continuing. A door? What door, Norton? Blam! Father, be careful. You know what door, Angie. Sheriff Miller? Clara? the only door. The door to the Blackbourne. Clara! It's opening now. Clara! It's opening. And when it does, we'll never be able to stop it. To be continued. So, that that was my favorite issue so far. And as a reminder to those listening, if anyone still is, this is a complete cold run for me. I've never read Gideon Falls before, so you're getting my initial, first time reading, first time reactions from the book. And if you have never read Gideon Falls either, then we're in the same boat. Hopefully I'm able to present it to you in a fashion that you're able to enjoy it. Let me know with your feedback if you like, do you like having the full page appear at the end like I've been doing? Do you like me pausing in the middle of the books and kind of reading the chat, or just go from beginning to end kind of uninterrupted? The commentary in the book, I don't know what necessarily works best for your ears. I know what I like to do, but I want to have it the best presentation possible. I can save all my commentary till the end of the book, or I can comment as we go along. I feel since it's kind of like my first time reading it, I want to just do from beginning to end. I'm not really doing an examination of the book like on my normal Ashon Comics videos, so I feel maybe that's inappropriate. So here's the cover of the next issue. That looks really creepy. This is my, like I said, this is my favorite. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. This is my favorite issue. No. So far, I don't know how to click on things. Getting old. You guys aren't really very talkative in the chat, and I see people just exiting, and no one's putting any thumbs up. Man, am I that bad? I don't deserve any thumbs up. Anyways, if you do like anything that's being done here, if you're enjoying the books being read, please be charitable and click the thumbs up button. Maybe, I don't know. Share the video. It can be helpful to get out to viewers. Obviously, if you're here enjoying it, that might mean that there's someone else that might enjoy it. I'll kind of just go through. I've already shown the pages because of the way I was doing it, but kind of flip through as we're talking and wrapping up this video. I thought the imagery in this book, I really like the visuals from a whole page standpoint. I think Sorrentino, we've talked about this before, he doesn't do a great job to me as far as conveying action or motion. A lot of this is very still art. It's just straight on camera, eye level. Here, this page is a little bit different. We get some like distance shots. We get like kind of an aerial shot looking down on her in the cornfield. Some shots like this. This is kind of very cinematic, but I really liked these pages. When you go frame by frame, you don't see it so much, but when you see the whole page and you see the scribbly lines, it kind of gives you that feel of the crazy that this guy is going through, but you're learning that he's really not crazy. I didn't understand this part here. Do you think they're kissing or just kind of hugging each other? That was a little unclear. So Kay said, well, he just retracted his message about if it would help to add music. I've thought about that. Skip uses music when he does his stuff. Now, YouTube he does his stuff on Twitch, and I guess I could talk to Skip and see what his deal is all about. Skip, I don't know if you're still here, but do you have any problems when you use music with, like, I don't know what Twitch's copyright stuff is or how they care about, but YouTube is really, I mean, I put on music at the beginning of my videos while we're waiting, and I just pull, like, instrumental stuff from YouTube. It's like not even major stuff, and YouTube zaps it immediately. And so when I post these live streams afterwards, I have to actually go and edit that first 10 minutes of intro out, because it's not a copyright strike, it's a claim, which means a couple things. Number one is I can't monetize the channel. Now, I'm not monetized myself, so that's not a big deal, although maybe in the future one day I will be monetized, and then that means these videos possibly could make me a couple pennies. But also, one of the things of not being monetized is advantage to you guys is there's no commercials, so my videos play through. But when you get a copyright claim, what happens is whoever gets the claim on you, they monetize your channel. So then commercials get put on, and then they collect revenue off the views. So I don't necessarily care about getting revenue so much off these, but then I'm going to add commercials and not get revenue. Like, I don't know. I don't like doing that. Plus, from what I understand is if you get a lot of copyright claims, it hurts your ability to get monetized later, to get the approval process. And, it could hurt you on the algorithm, and who knows what other shenanigans YouTube is doing. So I just don't want to have them if I can avoid them. I do have one video that is claimed, and that's my very original Storytime video that I did for the the Detective Comics 1000, where I did a full read-through of the short story preview. And I think I did a pretty decent job of that if you ever want to see it. I put a lot of work into it. I did a much better job of reading it too, because I did 3 different takes and I practiced, and so it's not me stuttering through it like a cold read like I am here. Kay says switch to Twitch. Well, yeah, I guess I don't really have a Twitch following at all. So I guess I could maybe look for some open source license, music that I don't have to worry about copyright stuff, but then that music's generally not that great. So, it's difficult at the end here to maintain the conversation if you guys are all quiet. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. It's getting close to midnight here on the West Coast. Must be getting wee hours in the early morning over there on the East Coast. Once again, I want to thank everyone that showed up and participated. And hopefully you had a nice little bedtime story. Maybe some of you were tucked away in your bed and you fell asleep with the YouTube on as Ash read you a story to sleep. I've done that before. Well, not listening to myself, but listening to someone on YouTube and just falling asleep. It's funny if you leave the YouTube on autoplay, and then you wake up in the next morning and it's at 8 hours of just random videos that have been cycling through and playing. So I would like some feedback though. You guys, if you don't put in the comments here, you can put them in the main comments of the video. If you're listening to this on a replay, of course, put them in the main comments of the video. How do you think of the format? And also, how long should I continue Gideon Falls? I don't know if there's just a story arc to end. I do have one more issue, but since I haven't read it, I don't know how it concludes. I am enjoying the story. I want to read more of it. But should I continue to do Gideon Falls and a secondary comic, or should I pick up a different book and do? And if so, I would need some ideas of what to do. Something I was considering doing is a little while back I picked up Darwin Cook's what is it called, something Frontier. Let's see. I can pull it up here and go to my books. Browse library. Oh, here we go. One thing I would like to read, possibly. There's a 4-issue series of Captain America. I talk about this all the time, and I haven't read this in like 20 years. This is the best Captain America story I've ever read. It's called Captain America Sentinel Liberty. This originally came out in the early 90s. It's written by Fabian Nicieza, art by Kevin Maguire, and it's essentially the story that the first Captain America was based on, although this is much better in my opinion. And it all takes place in World War II, and it's the whole story of Captain America becoming the super soldier and all that stuff. Melissa says she has to go. Night, guys. Hey, take care, Melissa. Thank you for stopping by and listening. So that's an option that's out there. I haven't read the Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, because it never finished. But I do have. That'd be fun to read. I love Frank Miller's got a way of words. It'd be really fun to read that. Let's see. What other good stuff? Oh, okay. So I have this, Darwin Cook's Batman Ego. How many pages is this? $259 pages. So that's quite a hefty read. You figure 20 issues per comic, so 300 issues. Yeah, that's a big one. So that might be too big. I think the Darwin Cook one I'm thinking of might be even bigger than that. Let's see what else. And I'm just, there's a ton of stuff here, and some of it's junk because it's, oh, here it is, The New Frontier. That's what this gets so much acclaim, and so I picked it up just based on its reputation. I know it's 500 pages. So it's like basically a modern telling of Silver Age characters, by Darwin Cook, and it's supposed to be fantastic. I need to sit down and just read it. But I thought maybe that could be cool, but it's 500 pages. That would be a lot of episodes. Unless I read more than one, if I read like 50 pages a night. Kay says he didn't like The New Frontier. You're the first person I've heard ever say that. Okay, here we go. We got Sean Gordon Murphy doing art and Mark Millar doing story and Chrononauts. I haven't read that yet. I got quite a few things that I haven't read in here because I usually pick them up when Comixology has like some mega deal. And you're seeing a lot of these Valiant books that are here, these little one-shots. So Valiant right now, I picked up 110 comics. Valiant has a big sale going on, and they had 110 comics that are free, mostly like first issues. But I was like, I don't know, it's free issues, So that's why I have a ton of these in here. So, I don't know if I want to do like this an indie book because I think that'll be more of a niche audience. So I was trying to think of something that might be big too, or if it is indie, something really, more popular. Like Gideon Falls tends to be a book that everyone at least knows about. Let's see what else. Someone was asking me to do some Gru comics. I don't know how Gru is very visual. I don't know how great it would translate. Maybe I'll try to do one Gru. I don't know. What else do I have in here? I'm not a real big fan of limited series usually, so that's also makes it difficult. I did pick up Comixology Unlimited, so I could borrow books that are part of the Unlimited and go through something like that. Yeah, okay, I guess I can understand if you're not American, you might not relate to some of the cultural aspects. Let's see. Now, there's Thor, God of Thunder. Now, Jimmy, friend of the channel, Comics Quirks, is a real big fan of Thor. I think I picked this up. No, I don't want to mark it as red. View in store. He's a real big fan. I promised him a long time ago I'd read this. I just haven't. 121 pages. So maybe that could be a good. Because this is like his favorite comic. He says it's amazing, and I do. The art is fantastic, and I love Thor. So that's a possibility. What else? Usagi Yojimbo. Yeah. Usagi's tough. Maybe it could do a short arc of it. Where is... There's like a... Supposed to be oh, there it is. Unlimited. So with Comixology Unlimited, I can read anything that's part of the stuff. So, of course, New Frontiers part. I can read it for free now. That's one. Anyways, I don't want to sit on here too long. You guys give us some thoughts. We still got another episode, at least, of Gideon Falls. I could do Ascender do Jeff Lemire again. Oh, I could do Criminal. Oh, maybe. Maybe Ed Brubaker's Criminal. Might have to give that one some serious consideration. I think I'll go through the Unlimited series here and see what I can borrow and read while I still have Comixology Unlimited. You guys have been great listening in. I know I've kind of gone long afterwards. You could have tuned out anytime. But some of you are still here, so I appreciate it. I think I'm gonna, go ahead and wrap this up, if you will. You guys know how to reach me if I'm on Twitter. You can find me there. And Ash1138. That's the numbers 1138 at Ash1138. You can come to my Discord. You can find me on my videos. You know where to find me. Hopefully, you'll continue to watch these streams. I don't have like a regular schedule for them, unfortunately, due to things that are going on. I do plan on doing these mostly late at night, though. Just because I think I like the motif of a bedtime story. So, Computer Robots, great to see you. What about Avengers Fantastic Four books? Those would be great. Consider whatever you guys consider for suggestions. Consider about the length, because I don't want to do 12 episodes of a book that people aren't into, because then they'd have to, so if I do like something that can be done in like 5 or 6 episodes at most, then even if someone's like, this isn't the best book, they don't have to be invested in for a super length of time. Discord link. That's probably a good idea. Let's see. Pull up the old Discord. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. You guys should find the Discord link should be in the channel description. I don't know why. I always forget to mention that. So you should always be able to find that there. And if you have any troubles, you know how to reach me. With that, I'll say au revoir. Thanks for watching.